Welcome back. Joining us all the way from Tehran is Armin Miladi, an award-winning filmmaker, the founder of media and distribution company Daricheh Cinema, and the director of the Iranian Film Festival Australia. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hi Gemma, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So firstly, tell us a bit about your career and what you're doing in Iran at the moment.
Well, as you mentioned, at the moment, what takes up most of my time is film distribution with Daricheh Cinema. Our main focus is distribution of Iranian films in North America, USA and Canada, and in Australia and New Zealand. The Iranian Film Festival in Australia, which is happening every year. This is the 8th year. It's going to happen in Australia in October and November, and this year we are starting first Iranian Film Festival in New York. At the moment, I'm working on my own film, which is one of the reasons I'm in Iran. But also, on the other hand, I felt like I have been away for so long from Iran. Every time in the past 15, 16 years since I moved to Australia, in a very fast-paced country like Iran, and with all the changes that happens, being away for 10, 15 years is a really long time, and you forget a lot of things.
So how would you describe Iran's film industry and cinematic style?
That's a sense of realism is very, very much what highlights Iranian cinema, and I feel that's what audience outside Iran refer to when they talk about Iranian cinema. But of course, there are many type of genres that they do in Iran, which is not as much recognized outside.
As a filmmaker that's worked in both Iran and Australia, are there any differences or similarities between the two industries?
Of course, what you can see, if you refer to it as an industry, the bases are the same. You have director, producer, and all the cast and crew. But when you look deeper into it, I think the biggest difference is the way the authorities look at the film industry. In Iran, you have to go through a lot of different stages to get, for example, when you come up with an idea, you have to get approval for the script first. Then you have to get approval for the shooting of it. Then there is another approval that needs to be received when you want to screen the film inside Iran. That's the biggest difference that I feel compared to, for example, Australia, that you don't need these permissions. As long as you have a budget, you have a good idea, you find a producer, and you go ahead and you shoot. But on the other side, in Australia, the big challenge is all the Hollywood films and their old English-speaking language that they are available in the cinemas, and that's a challenge for the Australian film industry to make films that are able to compete with those productions to be shown in the cinemas and bring the audience.
So tell us how the Iranian Film Festival Australia was created.
Back in when I moved to Australia, it was right after 9/11, and when I was in Australia, I was feeling it wasn't the best time to say that I was from Iran. Many of my friends who were almost the same age as me, when they were going out to the clubs, for example, they wouldn't say they were Iranian. They would say they were Italian or Greek or something, but not Iranian, which was very sad to me. So it was at the time. It was the only time that when I was at the film festivals that I felt I could proudly say I was from Iran, because they would link me to the great culture of art and cinema of Iran, and I would feel proud of being Iranian. Maybe something that I can do there with the cinema to have this opportunity for my culture, for Iranian culture to be seen and to be understood better in Australia. That was when at the time I started working with a great friend of mine, Anne DeMicaro. We started the film festival together. She was a great help to shape this festival. Unfortunately, from this year, she's not going to be working with us. And here I take this opportunity to thank her for all the efforts she did for this festival to grow to this size. And I feel since the festival has gone to this level. It is something that Iranian background people who live in Australia, they feel they have something to be proud of, or that's what I hope they have. So I think that cinema is a way to provide that sort of cultural understanding, to have a bridge between what people might know about the country and to come and see a film to get a sense of what is life like inside Iran. So they know, okay, it's not all a desert, or we don't ride camels like with some people who might not have knowledge. Not so much these days, but in the past, we would hear a lot of those comments. So that's what I feel cinema can do, and I'm glad that the festival is able to have that opportunity for Iranian cinema to be shown in a country like Australia. So I'm hoping that this exchange eventually provides that sort of opportunity for collaboration of filmmakers in Iran and Australia together.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. So how has the festival grown since you started it?
In the first year, we started in 3 cities. We started in Brisbane, Adelaide, and if I'm not mistaken, in Canberra, and that was in 2010. And so now we are in 6 major cities in Australia. We haven't. It's very difficult to run a festival with a small team and a very dedicated team who really do this for the love of culture and the arts. But we try to keep the standards to the level that we like the festival to have, to bring for it to be attractive enough for non-Iranian audience who are in Australia, who like cinema, to come and see the type of quality films that they would expect from a festival. And also we have, from the past 2 years, we started to have a competitive section in the festival with collaboration with Australian Embassy in Tehran. We hold the awards, and that provides an opportunity for filmmakers who have their films at the festival to be recognized. And I feel that sort of exchange helps both people in Australia and the filmmakers in Iran to have a platform to from one hand to promote their films, and from the other hand in Australia for the films to be seen, which is great. It's a very feel-good thing for me to do.
Just before we have to go, can you tell us when this year's festival kicks off and what we can expect?
Sure. This year, from 18th of October until 18th of November, there's going to be the festival happening in Australia. We start in Sydney, and then the week after we go to Melbourne. Then we are the week after in Brisbane, and then we finish at the same time in Perth, Canberra, and Adelaide in mid-November. So I'm hoping that to see a lot of our festival friends who always come back and support us. It's really great, and for me to be back in Australia in that 1 month traveling through different cities and presenting these films.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to go to a break, but thank you so much for coming on and talking to us.
Thank you. It has been my pleasure to be with you.
When we get back from the break, we'll share some tips from a traveller about the best things to see, do and eat when in Bahrain.